What's going on, Savages? CJ here, and this is somebody that I want to introduce you to that is a clutch player here at Savage Coaching, arguably the backbone or the heartbeat of what we've got going on. Well, we decided more brain wave. She's the brain wave. Yeah. But this is Laura, and I'm here in a second. I'm going to have Laura introduce herself and explain because, you know, again, there's been a couple of people behind the scenes that we haven't necessarily addressed just yet, but I really think it's important you guys get to know them. But first things first, this is the Savage Talk. This is our podcast. This is our first official podcast, 001. And why we ended up doing the podcast, basically what we're doing here at Savage Coaching is we are putting out as much content as physically possible. We want no stone left unturned, and there is just so many mediums now. And for me, for instance, I love video. I absorb video. Other people, it's iTunes or it's Spotify, it's audio. Other people, it's pictures. And so we want to touch, whether it's Instagram, it's Twitter, it's, podcasts are going to be a huge format here. And so what we're going to do is we're essentially going to be recording, I think, one a week is our goal. And then we're going to be probably splitting those up into segments. But yeah, this is the first one.
I'm excited.
Yeah, I'm very excited too. We're working through some kinks right now. You'll probably see the set change. You'll probably see some of the formats change. But instead of us sitting on our thumb, we want to make sure that we're actually getting going. So, all right. So, Laura, introduce yourself.
Hey, I'm Laura. So I've been with Savage Coaching for a little bit now.
How long has it been?
I don't know.
So
a little bit.
Yeah.
We'll just say a little bit.
Yeah.
It's been a little bit.
All right.
So I started my fitness journey years ago, actually. In a bigger space, literally. So I've always been an athlete, and I just live and breathe getting outside and moving around and just playing every sport. I was a boxer for a while in the 90s. I played college rugby.
Okay,
so
you were a boxer.
I was a boxer in the 90s.
I feel like every
late
time we have a conversation, I learn new shit about you. You are the most interesting human being ever. What
so, yeah.
How did you end up boxing?
Well, so I got out of college. I started my first job here in Texas. Moved back to Texas and decided I was really not happy just being in the office all the time because I'm just not being, and so I went to a boxing gym, a boxing club in San Antonio. And for those of you who might know San Antonio, might know the boxing world, El Torito Boxing Gym is where I went. And I went in there, I saw what was going on, I saw this work people were doing, and I was inspired by it. And it kind of grabbed me by the throat, and I thought, this is it, this is where I want to be. So for 2 years in the 90s, I was an amateur boxer. It was
so
fun.
Interesting. Okay. All right. Cool. Okay. Yeah. So you are, so boxing. So continuing on, you went through a transformation, right?
I did. Yes. So I was always a big kid, but an athletic kid. And when I got into college,
big kid. We were talking last picked in dodgeball. Big kid. What are you talking about?
No, first picked in dodgeball because I could take a hit pretty well. That's
the little known side of it. Yeah. Got it. Okay.
And I couldn't dodge a wrench because that much mass couldn't move out of the way quick enough. But no, I was always pretty athletic and everything. But as I got into college and really got out of college and slowed down as far as my outside activities, like athletic activities, were concerned, my weight started to go up and up and up. And when I finished boxing after those first 2 years, I really got to a place where I was just working all the time. I mean, I would fly out of the office on a Monday and be gone at a client's site for an entire week, fly back on a Saturday, do my laundry Saturday night, fly back out Sunday. I mean, there's just no room for any other activities in my life. And just when you get into your career or your job, you just start thinking about, I just got to make a good impression. I just got to do this. I got to do that. Yeah. And you forget about in order to continue to make that good impression, you've got to take care of yourself.
Yeah.
So at one point, fast forward several years, a decade or so, and I had reached a point where I was just really sick all the time, just tired, and I was, you know, I'm a fairly short, vertically challenged person, yeah. And I had reached a weight of about 292 pounds. So, and I just kind of woke up one day and I was like, this is crazy, you know. So, so a lot of things, found out a lot of things, continued to try to pursue what exactly was going on, figured it out. A little over a year ago, got into CrossFit. Now I'm down over 100 pounds since 2012. Awesome. So 120 pounds later, here I am.
Now, all this led you to essentially where we met, and you becoming a certified personal trainer. So Laura was a student of mine, and to recently actually. And so when you, and we talked about this before, because before you onboarded with Savage Coaching, before we like kind of went this route, we were discussing, you know, business opportunities and stuff for you and like what you wanted to do. And it just so happened that we kind of were on the same wavelength. But you getting in the fitness industry, was this like you wanting to, you know, make this a career, a side thing? Is this just for your like?
No, this absolutely is what I want to do with my life.
And why is that? Is it just through your experience of like, you know, it's so powerful for you that you wanted to make it, or like what makes? Because I feel like it's different. There are tons of people that go through the whole experience of a transformation. Not a lot say, well, I'm going to make this my career now. You know?
Yeah. So I think really what I realized through this was I enjoy what I'm doing now. You know, I've loved it ever since I got into it, but I don't impact people directly, you know, and that's one thing through this journey I've noticed is that there are a lot of people out there who are looking for help. They want somebody who can help them kind of tweak this and tweak that and kind of go in this direction versus the direction they're headed in. They just don't know. And they're embarrassed sometimes to ask for help. Sometimes they're just too self-conscious. I mean, there are a lot of reasons why. But really for me, this is about living a healthy life so that I can be the best version of me in helping other people. It's kind of like a circle, you know, like you get yourself squared away as far as your health goes. You try really hard to keep on track with what's healthy for you, and you can then be there for other people and help them do the same thing. I mean, it's all about a balance and a circle. Yeah,
no, I mean, how many times you hear like professional athletes that end up like coaching or commentating or whatever, like it's the natural progression of things to take your experience, if it's motivating or inspiring or whatever, to now share that. Not that everybody does that, but it's I do think that the career side of it is a whole nother, because there are people in the fitness industry that like you can inspire through lots of ways. You could tell your story, you can but to make it like, all right, I'm going to go on all chips in type of deal. Yeah, I mean, it's scary too. You know, like if you're already doing something that's you've found success with, and then you're headed down that path, and all of a sudden you realize, you know, this is great, but it's not my passion. Yeah. And I think that's pro and a con. Sure. You know, you find your passion and there's something inside you that kind of gets flipped on, and there's no flipping that switch off. It's like the switch just breaks off, you know? Yeah. You know, it's interesting. I remember, so I've been doing this, I've been all in the fitness game for over 13 years, and most of that being an entrepreneur. And I remember like this, you're going to laugh, but when I was going through training school, and mind you, I was just turned 21, just got back from Iraq. I was just trying to like pay my way to get through like training school and figure out the rest of it. And so I was like folding clothes at a Rue 21, like a fucking retail store. It was. I think of it now, it's embarrassing. Yeah. Oh yeah. Most people know me now. They're like, no. There's no way. But it was weird because like at these small little stores, like it's a fuck ton of turn. Like do not and I'm not hating on anybody that works retail. Like, look, actually, I fucking salute you, but F that. Like, there's no, that is, the pay is like, the time, the stress.
Yeah.
But the turnover is really serious. And so I ended up basically managing this store within several months because they have nobody. And so I was, at the time, I look back now, it wasn't good money, but it was decent for me at that point. And so I finished school, and I remember that like crossroads of shit. Like, you know what I mean? Like, I gotta let this go. And I hated it, to be honest. I know it's different from you, but I fucking hated it. But it also was like, it provided like a structure. And so for me to say like, now let's tear it down so we can build something new, that is terrifying.
Because you leave that security.
Yeah.
You leave that, if you know you're getting a paycheck every 2 weeks, if you know you've got benefits, medical, dental benefits or whatever, I mean, you live that for just a few weeks, a few months, and you get used to the fact that, you have that security, that, and especially if you're managing the store now after a few months because everybody's gone, you have even greater security. Yeah. To come to a point where you take action to say, I'm going to leave that. Yeah. I mean, that is incredibly difficult.
It is, yeah.
So,
most rewarding thing ever for me, like it ended up, I can't sit here and say that that's everybody's experience. There are probably people that go all in on their passion and it doesn't work out. And
oh, sure. Yeah.
But for me, man, thank Christ I ended up doing that, Well, okay. So we're here at Savage Coaching. Maybe I'll give a proper introduction of myself another time. Most people that probably are following this know me from one area or another of all the crap I've been everywhere. But I think there are still question marks of what the hell I've been doing with Savage Coaching. Like, they've been seeing it. I've been talking about it.
Right.
What the fuck is Savage Coaching, and why are us two sitting here doing this? Yeah. And that's a good question. It's a solid question. So I don't even know. Actually, funny enough, I don't know if you 100% know all the background of where this started. But long story short, I was going through a lot of different things in the fitness industry. I actually at the pinnacle, what I would say the pinnacle of my, at least career, like influential, like the where I was touching the most folks, and I was really like putting myself out there at the most. Like I was crushing it with Price Plow, so it's all over YouTube. I owned a gym. Had more client success stories in 1 year than I had ever had. And it was at that year I decided that I wanted to walk away from the industry altogether, and people thought I was fucking nuts. But it was essentially like I was going through a hard time. I went through a separation that then led to a custody battle. And I just needed to push away. It was my eat, pray, love moment. So I did that, and that went on to, like, I basically got into videography and photography, and it was just kind of like finding something to, enjoy. And my friends Jim and Sydney actually are a big part of how it ended up here, because Sydney went through a transformation with me. It was that year before I left, and she was like this huge success story, and I met her husband Jim, and Sydney she really was influential already, but like when she went through this transformation, really like just touched a lot of people, and this led her to eventually like owning a gym. So she actually bought a gym. Right. God, I guess maybe it's going on a year.
I was gonna say, I thought it was about a year ago.
Probably about a year ago, yeah. And so they naturally reached out to me and like, hey man, come back into the industry. You want to help us be a part of this, and so that basically got me to go and start helping them build out this gym and like, kind of be alongside of it. And at first, I'll be honest with you, I was like really nervous. I didn't know if I really wanted to get back into training. I did know that I was broke and we needed to make some money. And so I'm like, well, I know how to train people, so maybe this is the way to go. And so I was helping them with the gym just really for the sake of like, I wanted to help my friends and I want to see them successful. But I'm thinking, all right, I'll pick up a couple clients and that'll be a good Band-Aid on the bullet wound for now. And Jim approached me and said, hey, why don't we kind of do this together to a certain extent? And it originally was like kind of like Garage Gym wanted to do, have some clients or whatever. And I was like, well, I was thinking independent, but okay, maybe we'll do that. And he said, hey, let's get like a client management software. And so we wanted to work with Trainerize. And my friends with Abs Fitness had been working with Trainerize. So I was like, all right, cool, like whatever. And I'm not a detail-oriented person. So at first, like I was a little bit inside, I was like rebellious because I don't like to work with like software with clients and things like that. Jim's an app guy, a data guy. And I'm like, all right, like let me just try it out, whatever. And so we just did the free trial of it. And what's funny is like I got into Trainerize. And Trainerize isn't really the big picture here, but I got in there and I was sitting at home and I'm like, what can we do with this? Let me just fumble around and figure this out. And I started like writing workout programs again for the first time in a couple of years. And I just started, it wasn't for anybody. I was just writing. And I started looking like what this program could do, or like what the app could do. But then I'm also like, my kind of creative brain is like moving, and it was it was at that moment randomly that Savage Coaching unfolded to me. I didn't know it wasn't called Savage Coaching at the time. I didn't know what it was, but like I connected with a passion that clearly was my passion from the past in a new way, and it woke up something that I was like, oh my God, like I think there's a thing. Like I see this thing. And it's attached to this way of programming, this way of thinking, and like, what if we pointed out the industry hypocrisy and we were ironic, and what if we were, what if it allowed me to be myself essentially, and but there was this academia attached to it, and there was this more depth of like nutrition and programming and things within there that I want to take it to, and can we juggle all that in the software? I realized I'm like, oh, it has enough like components that I think I can actually build my ideology or my thought process within here. And I think it has all the right things that'll fit these components where I'm not going to like be confused, and it's going to be, so I basically went back to Jim and was like, hey man, I think I'm onto something. Like, I think this is like huge. And for me, because I'm more of a perception, like shoot from the hip type, I see it, but it's hard for me to objectively explain it, especially with somebody that's not, attached to your kind of in the fog vision. Yeah. And so this has basically led us to this point where, we kicked around the ideas, we've spun this thing 100 different ways, and Savage Coaching essentially is what I believe to be a particular voice in the fitness industry that I resonate with more than I ever have. It's a way that I've always operated organically as a trainer on the ground level. It is it's a satire, humor / academic approach to fitness that I think a lot of genres have missed. And so anyway, that's my broad scoped view of how we ended up here. But yeah.
Yes. Intellectual humor.
Yes. Yeah.
With a touch of sarcasm. But just a touch.
Just a touch.
Just a touch. Just a touch.
What are your thoughts with, because you were going through school while I was starting to develop Savage Coaching, and we even worked on like you doing a brand. Right. But I was sharing with you as I was going through my, like, and now you're a part of this. What is your point of view of Savage Coaching?
It's funny. So the thing that I see in Savage Coaching really is the intellectual humor part. Like that's the crux of it for me. So I know it probably, I don't know that anybody out there would resonate with this, but as far as I'm concerned, I'm pretty much the polo savage. Like you're not going to see me in t-shirts very often. I'm very calm, cool, collected, logical. But when I'm in a workout, when I'm in the gym, don't talk to me.
Yeah.
Because you'll get hurt. I mean, literally.
That's where the savage shows up.
Savage, exactly.
Yeah.
So for me, in the gym, my mindset and where I am is either with the dumbbells or the barbells, or if I'm in a CrossFit workout, then it's in that WOD. But in any case, even the people at the gym I go to and the box I go to know, you really shouldn't talk to her when she's in the middle of a workout. Otherwise, she's a really nice person, very quiet, doesn't talk a lot. So to me, Savage coaching, that's what I connected with. It was the intellectual humor, which to me is stimulating anyway.
Yeah.
When you can really, comedians who can pull things off with a little bit of dry humor, but a whole lot of smart.
Yeah.
But the other piece of it was just the savagery inside that is there when everything in me is focused on getting that next PR or that next rung on the ladder for me personally, not for anybody else.
No, I think you pointed out it's interesting because Savage, it's a great point of view. Savage essentially is multifaceted within this brand. On one hand, Savage represents a devil's advocate look at like the irony of the industry.
Right.
It is us not siding. We are so agnostic. It's not funny. We don't like we, people that maybe don't know us are going to see some of our humor as us having like some sort of, whether it's a political affiliation or a team. It's like, it is the opposite.
There's nothing there.
Yeah. There's nothing to find. We are the most like neutral ground, but we find humor in sitting between, everybody throwing rocks over the fence at one another. So everything that we do is just out of like complete ironic satire. And so that's one set of the Savage. And then there's another side of Savage where it's us recognizing that no matter how intellectual you are, no matter how strategic you are, I had this conversation with my powerlifter, Sarah, who's competing Saturday, is going to be her event. And we were doing, what was it? The deadlift, I believe. I think it was the deadlift. And I said, she was, in her head about it. And we're talking, well, should I do this? Should I do that? Should I, we're separating the bar. Should we start with the hips a little lower? Like we're trying to we're playing chess. And that's what you have to do to a certain extent in training. And I get that. The strategy's there. But I said, Sarah, we're a week out, we're peaking. And I'm like, Sarah, the fact is that I can't tell you how to be a better chess player at this point. But what I can tell you is that to separate yourself from like the third place to the first place is to just go to the irrational. Like you've got to go to the place, that dark space in your mind where you irrationally do shit that doesn't make sense. That you are just fucking that psychotic that you're willing to like throw your body at somewhere that it's not even reasonable to be there. That's the Savage. You hit the nail on the head, and we've talked about this before. Whether it's physically or whether it's just trying to conceptualize and understand some things that maybe we don't fully understand, but we give ourselves that permission to do those thought experiments, and you go to the edge of the cliffs of insanity. Yes. But the Savage is going to the edge of the cliffs of insanity, working through that problem, and then having the discipline to pull yourself back at the same time. Yeah. And get back into your normal, what do you got to do now? Absolutely. But that's, and that's what I love, because that takes, it builds your discipline, it builds your resilience, and it builds your character. Now, because I actually think what's funny is like, I think you just pointed out something to me that I think this is something I've always lived. Well, I don't want to say always, but like something that seems organic for me now. But what's interesting is that what I was going to say after this was that Savage can be so associated with like a kind of a bro mentality of like ego driven pride.
Sure.
And that's something that we've talked about avoiding. Like we are so anti-bro, it's not funny. And when I don't say anti-bro, like we respect the bros the same way we respect everybody else, but like we again, we don't subscribe to anything. But I worry because we have the name Savage that people like want to immediately attach that to tribal tattoos and horse shit.
Exactly.
And but what's funny is like you saying that, it's like what the bros got right was that they realized that you have to fucking work hard. And like you have to literally just, and maybe it's true ignorance with some bros, but whether it's true ignorance or purposefully like just sacrificing your body, but like that actually equates to a level of the equation that has to be considered. Now, the problem is that you don't want to sell your soul to the devil. Like you need to be able to, how do I sacrifice my body and don't let that that toxin take over my egotistical approach to the rest of everything? I need to be able to come back off that cliff, and then recover.
Right.
It's interesting. It is a balance. It is playing tennis. It's like you got to be careful.
But if you don't let yourself, if you're, you know, if you never let yourself go to that point, to the edge of the cliffs, if you never let yourself think about what could I do, then everything in your life is impossible. Yeah. Because that's where everything is possible. So it is a balance. So you have some people coming out on Instagram now saying, look, I know you guys like this content, you like that content, but to be honest with you, you only see 1% of my life. You're only seeing the 1% of my life I'm letting you see because either I'm promoting this brand or I'm doing this or that. So I think that's one thing. But the other thing, and it's bigger than that, because I think this whole thing about, you know, what you see in magazines isn't real. It's been out there a while, right? That's not new. People are hearing it. This is a big thing with young women, young girls as well. People are starting to say, hey, don't try to be that model or whatever. So I get that. You know, I think that's good that people are kind of peeling back that layer on the onion. Yeah. But the second piece of this is, I think it's been missed by a lot of people. Yeah. And that is, you can be whatever you want to be in life. But what you want to be is what you want to be, not what you saw in the movie yesterday. Yeah. Not what you saw in that magazine. Yeah. That is not you. And I think people today sometimes have a hard time separating themselves from a movie, a story,
what they're sold, what they organically should want to be. Yeah, because that's an internal conversation.
Exactly.
Yeah,
they don't really know who they are or what they want because all they've seen is all they know, and that to them is their reality.
So this is the way that I approach the clients. Tell me if I'm wrong. Let's say that I get, you know, Susie soccer mom that like has like middle of the road genetics at best. And she's, I don't know, for whatever reason, she's a fan lady of bikini shows and bodybuilding and all this shit. And maybe she has friends that have done it or acquaintances. And so she comes to me and she says, like, you know, I want to do a show. I want to do my first show. As a trainer, like, so, and this is tricky as a coach, because what my next approach is clutch. Like, if I could sell her hopes and dreams, and then I could also completely shit on them. Like, I could do two different things here. The way that I look at it, this is what I hope Savage Coaching really like gets across, the agnostic approach, is that, like, all right, Susie, here's the thing. This is what that looks like. And I just want to be clear. Like, most of these girls, genetic elites. This is how it's capable for them to live this way or to go through this process. Now, in my experience, a person like yourself, absolutely, we can take you to the brink of whatever it is that you're fucking possible of. This is what it's going to cost. Now, I have to keep it real with this person. Now, at that point, if Susie says, all right, I want to fucking do it, I'm like, all right, I'm going to fucking hell and back with you. Let's fucking go. But I don't think it's cool for me to say, hey, it'll be just what you think it's going to be, Susie.
No, yeah.
Because that's bullshit.
Absolutely.
Like, it's not.
Yes.
Like what you know, Tiffany, fucking teen Tiffany, she's gonna have a different experience than you. And to be honest with you, that bitch is probably gonna do half the work. She might still beat you. And as long as we can have that discourse and you can say, I don't fucking care. Like I'm willing to be that kind of irrational because I think it's possible. I'm like, you know what? Yeah, I'm motivated with you. Let's go.
Yeah.
You see what I'm saying? It's like so.
I do.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, but I think it's the same thing.
Like, I want to be a quarterback for this show. Like,
I want. Yeah.
You sure?
Yeah.
You're like, yes, and I'm like, all right, let's do it. Yeah.
Exactly. Right. Yeah. So I mean, there's nothing that, you know. I was thinking about this actually yesterday. It's kind of funny. I was going somewhere and I was driving, and I was thinking to myself, God, you know, I really don't. There are some things that I find that are more probable than others.
Yeah.
But there's nothing that I find to be impossible.
Yeah.
Necessarily.
Yeah. Both can coexist.
Right. Yeah. And so, I was thinking about this yesterday. I mean, like, you know, as we know scientifically, and we can prove things statistically, and the numbers can tell us certain things. But there is a component of this. There's a component of science. There's a component of the numbers that no number, no science will ever be able to account for, and that is the human component. The desire and the.
Would you say that's what our savage embodies?
Yes.
It's the unquantified.
Yes, it's the thing that cannot be quantified. You can look at the studies. I'll give you a real world example. All right, so you can look at all the studies you want. If you take 100 people with a ruptured brain aneurysm, okay, 8 people out of that 100 will actually come out of that situation with no cognitive impairments and no functional impairments and lead a normal life. 8%. Yeah. 8%. Okay. Yeah. So now you start adding in other things, other issues, pre-existing conditions or comorbidities that people have before they even have that ruptured aneurysm, right? And the numbers are going to go down even further. Yeah. Okay. So now take somebody who's had a ruptured brain aneurysm, who was way over, morbidly obese. Yeah. Who was playing wheelchair basketball just to stay active. And just 3 years later, ends up part of a coaching business, 120 pounds down, when everybody else was saying that person may not make it through the next 24 to 48 hours. Yeah. And then you watch that person walk out of the hospital 10 days later, get on a plane to go to California, and get that job interview that they've been interviewing for 2 months for. Yeah. So that is it's that thing right there. By the way,
that's personal experience from Laura speaking personal experience. This is a real life thing that happened. Yeah. Now, here's my thing though, because this is my fear. Like savage I've never heard it described in such a perfect way the way you just put it. It is the unquantifiable, and I think of the example of like where they posed that if you drew a scientist into your comic book and you gave him all the parameters of our scientific method, but he never knew he was a comic. There's a layer outside of the quantifiable that like just can't be like appreciated. Right. But you went through a particular experience. I've gone through personal experiences that have led me to cross certain barriers to make me who I am. Take somebody that has never seen the impossible. Now convince them to be a savage. Like my worry is that we hear, how many times do we hear some of the most successful stories say, it is so important that you fall and you scrape your knees and you fuck up so much, because that's literally what gave me the fuel to be what it is that you think you want to be. But how do I take Susie and how do I say be a savage when you and I both know that boots in the sand is the only way that we've been able to really like just taste it. Now that taste is always there now, but like. Yeah.
So
would he kick the shit out of them? Do we put them in Iraq? Do we give them a brain tumor? Okay, that's terrible. We would never do that. I don't know how to do that.
It is actually. We could.
It's
Well, we probably don't want to talk about it right
okay.
now.
All right.
So never mind. So no. So the fact that Susie comes to you and even wants to do this thing, that's a little bit of Savage being born in her to begin with.
Yeah, but people see. Okay, you are some like. I'm a great marketer. I could take your story.
You are.
And
yes.
I could make you a fucking like oh man, this great story, whatever.
Yeah.
Susie sees that. Mm-hmm. She's inspired, but has no fucking literal idea. Mm-hmm. Like we want to do shit all the time.
Right.
And it's a good sign that she takes that step, but like but the whole like capability of like doing it is a whole nother side of it.
Sure, talking about it and then actually living it day to day.
Yeah.
And going through the calorie cuts and going through the having to get yourself up and go to the gym and so on and so forth sucks.
Yeah.
Well, you embrace the suck, right? Mm-hmm. I mean, but I think part of Savage Coaching, part of who we are, is also understanding that yes, we've been to those places and we've come back. And we've been to those places and we've fallen and we've learned, but there were always people around us who helped us get back up. We can say we did it alone. The truth is we never do it alone. I mean, human beings are social creatures.
No.
So whether it's whatever you want to talk about, but for us to say to Susie or to even go to the point where we say, all right, she's just not going to make it. This is just, she needs to believe in herself as much as we believe in her.
Yes.
Without any question whatsoever.
Yeah.
So we design the program. We can implement the plan as far as saying, hey, do this now, do that now, do this now. It's up to her to carry it forward. And when she gets to the point where she's like, oh my God, I can't do it anymore, we're the ones pushing her in the back saying, hey, knock, knock on the door, get you up out of bed, let's go, come on, let's move. You still want to do this, right? We said this was going to be hard. Are you sure you still want to do this? Yeah. If the answer is yes, then we still do this.
Yeah.
But that's how savages are born.
Yeah, oh yeah.
That's and it's almost like you're creating the David. By Michelangelo, right? You are creating the David, and this is
my first bodybuilding trophy, by the way. It literally is just we just moved into this place. It just happened to be here.
But literally, you are taking Susie, and you are taking all of the extraneous, marble and everything else out of the picture, so that not only you can see it, but she can see it. The most important thing is that she sees it. Yeah. And if it's half done, and she's good with that, good for her.
Yeah.
Because where she started and where she is now are two completely different places. And she knows things are possible that she didn't think she could do before, which is going through the everyday minutia stuff of preparing for something like that. Even if she quits in the middle of it. Yeah. That's a win.
So one of the big combative things, and I think we're kind of speaking to that, is that in today's world, we got to talk 2019, we got to be relevant now, is that excuses and butthurt are arguably at an all-time high, or at least from my time. It's just completely. There is a reason why not to hurt or be offended or be upset or whatever. I mean, think about it. Like everybody has social media. Like I hope you agree with me. I am not. I feel like I'm always the polar opposite of everybody's fucking normal thought process, or the mass majority, I should say, not everybody. But I take a very a very Gary Vee approach to saying all these people complaining about how social media is our fucking problem are idiots because you're missing the forest for the trees. Social media didn't make you be a dick. You were a dick. Now you're exposed, and you're
still on social media. You're still using it to complain that social media is the problem.
And so I think that what's happened though is everybody has a very public voice now, and I'm super fucking thankful for that. We can do shit. We can be talking to a goddamn camera right now and share it with a bunch of people. I love that. With that said, we've created these kind of internal social pockets of basically protecting those that don't want to be in pain. And also, arguably, at least here in the States, I don't want to speak for the rest of the world, I don't know how it is, but we have it too fucking good. Like the fact is like the economy's been great. People have more of a voice and more of a platform than they ever had. Like we are more pampered collectively than we've ever fucking experienced. Yeah. And this, pussification of like society has led to, I think, this kind of shield around you're this marginalized whatever, and fill in the blank. I don't care, right? But like I have a reason why. And so what this is doing though is this is spoiled rich kidding everybody, and we're keeping them from being able to feel the boots in the sand like we're talking about. Right. And so savage coaching is interesting. Like I find that true savages, and when I say that, let's talk to police, let's talk to fire, let's talk to nurses, let's talk to teachers, let's talk to athletes at the highest level. Anybody that's ever CEOs, anybody that's ever like experienced the next level of what progression needs to be, they had to have been scarred. Right. And one thing I think that they all share, that they would all, I guarantee we get one of each one of them in a room. What they all share, I'm talking the top performers of all these, they all can point to the humor behind the social hypocrisy of all of it. Like they all, like the best nurses and paramedics and fucking military, they all kind of have fucked up humor because
that dark sense of humor, that dark side of humor that they don't want to make public, right? Let's not talk about it in real life or real time. Yeah. But let me tell you what happened. Yeah. Isn't this,
Well, because I think that they have to have an appreciation for the suck, like you said. Right. Like I have to be able to look at, and I'm not going to, I don't want to, get anybody upset, but it's like, whether it's death or it's loss or it's whatever, like to genuinely like be able to live day to day with this, whether it's depression you're dealing with or it's a misunderstanding, ultimately you almost have to like find humor in it because the more you take it seriously, which I think is what the butthurt is, like I'm special and I'm mad. It's like, if you stop taking yourself so fucking seriously, you can actually start to live with it better. You can deal with it better. Yeah. And I know we're never going to always get it right, and we're not all, but I think that's kind of what savage coaching, like the savagery of both sides of what we're talking about, they connect in that way.
Yeah, I think that's where the intellectual humor and sarcasm meets that savage, right? The internal savage that we all are, the internal aggressive, violent, whether it's we are aggressive about our beliefs or we're aggressive about what we're going to accomplish in life. I'm not talking about going out and hurting people, but that aggressive beast that we have inside there is an intellectual component, a very on point piece that savage coaching is, and but I agree. I think that we've gone soft. There's an argument to be made for the Live Soar movement, or for the people that believe that we're too comfortable and that will lead to our demise. Yeah. The more comfortable you are, the faster you're going to die. The sooner you're going to die.
They say military complacency kills.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, absolutely. And so So I've heard this over and over and over, and I agree with that to a certain point. But again, that's the balance we were talking about. Yeah. And really, every time you allow yourself to be put in an uncomfortable position, and to joke about it, and then get through it, you're building resilience, which is what progresses you to the next step, the next level. Yeah. So. Yeah.
Well, I think this is a good point to, essentially wrap it. These podcasts are, as of right now anyway, are going to be open into conversations. We do plan on having different segments. We want to kind of throw in some satire and stuff that we really embody with savage coaching, that we want to stand true. One of the things I want to point out, if you've listened this far, we are going to be pushing against the grain. And I think that that's something that a lot of people from the outside looking in are going to think. I had a conversation not that long ago, somebody that's saying like, you got to think before you post. I want to make this very clear. The well thought outness of this is more than most people will appreciate. It's not to say that we're perfect. It's not to say that everything is gonna we're gonna miss.
Like I don't know that thought outness is actually a word. For example.
Right. Yes, exactly.
But
exactly. But we're more intentional than people want to think.
Yeah.
And there's not just we're not just wanting to piss people off. We're not trying to just ruffle. We are intentionally speaking what we believe to be a truth, and we are looking at it from different angles that are underappreciated, because it's behind memes and funny videos, and it feels like it's like a fucking 16-year-old's Instagram, and it's not that. It is a lot more than that.
It starts conversations.
Yes.
And that
we're playing the game. Like the game is the game.
Playing the game, but getting people to talk to each other in a manner that maybe even allows them to be a little bit at ease with each other, even though they have two completely opposite views. Everybody can laugh about this meme.
Exactly. Exactly. And there's no person that is going to be the target of what we're doing. It is like everybody. We are going to make fun of ourselves as much as everybody else. Like that is the irony of all of it. And I think that's what lowers the flags, is like we're not speaking from a community, we're speaking to all communities. And so anyway, if you guys like this stuff, do me a huge favor and subscribe and follow us wherever the fuck it might be. We're trying to touch even we're now even on the I guess most people consider the kids platform TikTok. We're TikToking. So look, we're everywhere, and we're going to continue to grow. I'm trying to push an obnoxious amount of content that we're going to produce, and it's intimidating because we are low budget, low work. We don't have a lot of people helping us. We really don't have a lot, but the internet's free and social media is free, and we just won't sleep. So that's embrace the suck. We need to live what we say. So
absolutely.
All right. Thanks for tuning in, guys, and we will see you guys on the next podcast. We encourage opinions, so let us know down below in the comments. We are not going to censor anything, and we're not going to block your comments. So whatever the fuck you have to say, please say it. Later.